Brakatiyah Hawah, Brakatiyah Shai, Brakatiyah Hawah, Brakatiyah Shai, Brakatiyah Hawah, Brakatiyah Hawah, Bashim Yahushua, Bahashim, Gakudash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. The excitations of the whole for the elect out there, man. You Akim to Sadakim. I do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the Pre-Shema, this week's in transit is going to be entitled Men of the Lord Were Hated. You know, the inspiration for this show comes from the fact that you have a lot of guys out there, primarily other Israelite leaders. I'll name a few, okay? Daniel, the IUIC, General Yohana, where they seek, it looks like they're doing things to seek recognition from Israel, which, not just recognition, but to be seen in a certain light, alright, of popularity, okay, even if it means teaching the wrong thing, right, because the scriptures do say that, you know, at the end of the day, the prophets are going to get fame in the land, alright, but it's not about self-glory or none of that, but you have individuals that to seek this self-glory, alright, to be revered and honored by others, they'll teach things, primarily smooth things, as the scripture says, alright, to get that popularity. But here it is, the men of the Lord, alright, were hated, alright, hated so much that a lot of them were put to death for the things that they taught, alright, put in jails. And one thing that our brother mentioned at camp, I forgot the brother's name that mentioned it, it's in my mind right now, but it's very true, is you do not see a lot of these other camps' videos being taken down, right? Here at Great Millstone, our videos are being flagged constantly. Now, why is that? Is it just the way we speak, the speech, you know, rude? Yeah, sometimes we can come across as rude, but we toned it down a lot. You know, but the Apostle Paul spoke about rude speech. I'll be rude in speech, yet not of knowledge. Because you got brothers' videos, you have soft-spoken brothers, alright, that their channels are being taken down. So it's not so much about how do we deliver it. Yes, it does play a part. You know, you're far more likely to get a flag or a censorship when you come, you know, in that rough, raw, unadulterated spirit, okay? But guess what? It's not about that. It's about the things that we're saying is the truth, alright? Because these guys that have that 501c3 charter, which is a tax exemption form, alright, it tells you expressly in there that you have to omit certain things from the scriptures, alright? And if you go by these particular guidelines, you're no different than the church in the world, alright? A so-called plantation Christianity church. You're following the protocols of the so-called white man, alright? Not that of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Why? To be loved and to get money. Alright, because the scriptures do speak about teaching for filthy lucre, alright, and also a hireling. Now, what's a hireling? In the ancient world, let's say, you know, you have your sheep, right? And you know, you're gonna go off to a far journey. You know, you don't trust the woman with the sheep, because women weren't really built to fight off wolves and all that, right? So what you do is you would take your sheep, alright, and you'll have somebody. It's like, you know how you take your child to child daycare? Or you have like a sheep daycare, if you will, man. Alright, so this particular individual, alright, he will watch not just yours, but many other sheep's. Because remember, a sheep that could be like your livelihood, you know? Because you know, you could farm them for milk and cheese and all that, but at the end of the day, you could have them produce more children, and when you're ready, you can chop them up and eat them. You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't just like a pet. So this individual will watch over other sheep. Now, when ravenous animals will come to try to devour the sheep, you know, whether it's whatever type of animals you got out there, man, out there in Israel. I don't want to say the wrong type of animal, but like wolves and all that. All right, come to eat the sheep. This guy, to save his life, he would take off, and the wolf or whatever animal will devour the sheep. Sometimes thieves will do that too. You know, what a thief will do is create a distraction to the shepherd, alright? Maybe start a fire or something like that to get the shepherd alerted away from the sheep, and then he'll hop over the fence and just start slicing the sheep's throat. Man, quick, slicing their throat up. Start killing off all your flock. And then the other homie comes in and just start robbing. So that's one thing they would do. But the shepherd, he'll lay his life down to protect his sheep. But a hireling, one that was doing it for hire, okay, all right, he'll break out to try to protect his life. So that's these guys, all right. When it comes to the sheep of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the flock of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, all right, the ones that are learning these things, all right, they do it for a hire. They do it for money, not for sincerity, not for the love of the sheep, not for because they care about this particular animal, or the animal representing those that are learning. All right, they doing it for a bag. Yahushua warned about that, man. That's the big difference. That's the motivation behind these guys, for a bag and popularity. But truly, Jeremiah 28:8, tells us that the prophets that have been before me and before thee have all prophesied against great kingdoms in many countries. Now, these guys out there, they talking about building New Nazareth and all this type of stuff. All right, speaking about the prolonging of this place, but yet they want to liken themselves onto the prophets of old. Now, the reason a lot of people, big up Jeremiah and Isaiah and the prophets in the Bible, all right, is because they were right in hindsight, But at the present moment in time, it wasn't seen that way. Very similar to our apostles now. Okay, we believe through the Spirit, that we know through the scriptures the apostles are breaking down the scriptures right way, the elders, the brothers, all right. But Israel as a whole don't see that. They talk shit. But in hindsight, when the truth is revealed, all right, they're gonna esteem those men just like they did back then. All right. You think if Israel knew how great Jeremiah would be, how great Isaiah would be, how great Amos would be in the scriptures, like this the stuff that they did, all the years Noah, all the years they were prophesying that these men's name would be in the books forever and ever, they would consider it. But at the present time being, they looked as nothing. Scriptures tell you that, roughly paraphrasing, all right, you pretty much, the prophet don't even get love in his own city. A lot of these guys have quoted stuff like, how could John the Baptist be Elijah? He's from Harlem, So they want to go to somebody, like, if you're not above or super above in terms of in this world, Jake will kind of put you to the side, because as the scripture says, when the rich man speak, everybody listen. But when the poor man speak, they put it to the side. So, with that analogy, well, look what the scripture says. No good thing came. The Jakes are saying, what good came out of Galilee? All right. Galilee was like, that's like somebody saying, you from Marcy Projects, how you a prophet? What good came out of the projects? Pretty much. You had them Jakes out there that was speaking Hebrew, was like, kind of like a slang, not perfect. Prime example being Peter. That's how they picked it up, because they didn't speak it that. When you go into the history of the time, not every Jake spoke Hebrew very fluently, if you will, all right. They had that, bro. Just like how you have Jakes today, brothers in the South, they have that heavy accent, the slang and all that. I mean, probably to us, we have the accent to them, but we don't speak English very like an Ivy League professor per se. Some brothers might not, but for the most part, we just bring this out simple and plain. So others might look at that and say, this guy didn't get no college degree. This guy's not studious. Why we gotta listen to him? And as you can see, the reason history repeats itself, as Amon Gabal was saying, the priest Amon Gabal was saying, is because it's the same people coming back with the same mindset, the same ideas. It's like history repeats itself. So the same thing that I spoke about that happened back then in the ancient times, they looking down on the prophet, not liking him and all that. It's the same thing that's happening now. So you should really rejoice when others hate you, talk slander and all that, unjustly, of course. Okay, because you're doing the things the prophets of old did. You had Israelite men that beat up the apostles, talking about in the ancient time, all right, for teaching in the name of Yahweh. And what they do today, they clown us for teaching the name of Yahweh, call us moron camp. But hey, look, when the scripture says you are fools for Yahweh, you go into the Greek, the word there is moros, which is where the word moron comes from, man. So hey, fuck it, we be a moron for Yahweh, we be a fool for Yahweh, but you guys are fools for Esau. So that's the difference, man. Taking a 501c3 tax exemption form, man, to omit certain things from the scriptures. So if you're catching hell from your family, all right, which I'll say something about that too. That comes a lot initially, because you're telling them everything. When you first come to this truth, it's like a new toy or something. You want to just show off and show everybody, yo, look at this, I got this new gadget. And the scriptures do say, do I become your enemy because you tell you the truth? So a lot of people will become your enemy. You could burn a lot of bridges running off at the mouth about the truth, man, which is not a very wise thing to do. But rather, instead of a friend, be not an enemy. So in other words, don't be telling everybody this thing, man. You be cool with them, but you don't gotta tell them that, because a lot of times this is gonna burn bridges, cause enemies, right? Especially with those close to you, like your family. So they, you live and you learn. Live and you learn. After a while, they get cool with you. They know what you. They get cool with you. You know how to talk to them now. They might be doing some bullshit. You say, you know what? Just leave them to their own vices. Because that's the whole part of the growing. Hey man, shit man. The man waits peace as the Lord. Even his enemies be at peace with him. So sometimes they might be gnawing at their teeth at you, but you use that wisdom. You just say fall back and be cool about shit. Because in hindsight, this place is gonna be all ashes anyways. Hey man, you serve the Lord the right way, those people will be at peace with you. But don't be surprised if for no apparent reason everybody's coming at you, and sometimes, as they say in the world, feel like the universe is coming against me, yo. Nah man, it's just because you're doing this work. Because think about this, man. A lot of times, prior to the truth coming in the world, you were probably loved by everybody on your block and all that type of shit, When you come in this truth, then you just start left and right being hated. Well, it's a good thing to suffer for Yahweh and understand why it's happening. So in closing, the men of the Lord, all right, the men of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, they're gonna be hated by a lot of Israel, primarily because they're telling the truth. With that, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. The belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, which drew well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there. You hakim to the vacuum that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Hey, shalom, brothers.